everyone, and welcome back to the Introverts Corner. Today we're bringing you another episode of Pairings. I'm Susan
And I'm Chantal, and we are so excited because we have Jeff Adams here. And for those of you who do not know, Jeff and his husband Will do this phenomenal podcast, the Big Gay Fiction Podcast. And we are here talking about his book, Somewhere on Mackinac Island. Or on Mackinac, sorry. I want to add an island to it.
It is on an island.
I know, that's why I think of it as in my head, it's an island, so that's what. But thank you, Jeff. You want to tell us a little bit about, for those people who don't know about you and what you do other than the fabulous podcast?
Sure. So yes, we do have the Big Gay Fiction Podcast where we talk about books just like this one every Monday. We focus on gay romance fiction. In addition to the podcast, I also have been writing gay romance and young adult fiction featuring LGBTQ characters since about 2009. I recently figured out that like 10 years just flew right by. And Somewhere on Mackinac is one of my books that I was excited to kind of talk about here. I don't get to talk about it very much, just because it's a little outside of my usual, because I usually have a hockey player involved in almost everything. And while there's the briefest little talk that these guys played hockey in their youth,
right?
There's no hockey in the book, and they're not hockey players.
Maybe you can do a book where they go back and play hockey on Ice Bridge.
Yes, yeah. Ice Bridge.
Yeah, I would totally love to do that. And believe me, if I could have set the book a little later into the winter, we totally would have done that.
That was so, like when they were talking about the, and I know we're kind of jumping way ahead, but when they were talking about this ice bridge, I mean, I hate winter, but I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Could you imagine? I mean, that would just be crazy and fun. But yeah, winter, I can't imagine winter on that island.
No. And so this book is, and maybe you can talk a little bit about how Jordan ends up on this island and what propels him to go there.
Sure. So, I mean, the whole book, we'll jump a little further back. So why this plot even?
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to write a book about a state. And the idea was that the plot had to be something that you couldn't just put somewhere else. And that's kind of why I veered away from hockey, because a hockey player, that could be anywhere, right? I mean, short of maybe like a tropical island, but it could be anywhere. And I grew up in Michigan, and I was really thinking about what can I do in Michigan, in my home state, that is distinctly Michigan. So you could think about cars and things around the auto industry, or I thought about cereal for a while since Kellogg's, was based there. But Mackinac Island was a magical place when I was a kid. We would go up, we lived in Flint, and my grandfather actually owned a 4-seater Cessna plane, and we'd fly to the island.
Wow.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
No cars, very kind of, Victorian, old school architecture. The island really is kind of locked in time. And so that was a cool thing. But then I also love the movie Somewhere in Time so much. It's a little cheesy, but it's so romantic, even though it's so tragic at the end. And they shot that on Mackinac back in the day. And so I'm like, all of that could come together. And then I found out that there was this fan weekend that happens every year.
That's what I wanted to know. Is there actually, okay.
That's a legit event that happens. I mean, they've had like Jane Seymour's gone back to it a few times, and the filmmakers come, and they've had all these things around it. And so it was way fun to research and to figure out the pieces of that I could integrate in. And so Jordan is a huge fan of the film and is finally taking the big leap to go to the island from Chicago, where he lives, and attend the event. which is, you know, the bulk of the book. I'd say at least half the book, you know, kind of unfolds in that event, and then he stays longer for reasons that I'm sure we'll get into.
Well, and oh, sorry, Susan.
No, I was going to say so Chantal and I talked about this a couple days ago, but we were reading it and we were sort of fangirling over you, and we're just like, it reads like he's been there. It reads like he's been on the weekend for the movie, and like it just, there's this richness to it that like you're really like, you're immediately like all of your senses are engaged and you're on this island with them, and you're immediately pulled in from him driving up and dealing with that guy on the phone who we'll get into later because we have
strong feelings about Drake. Okay, we have very strong feelings about,
as you should.
As I was reading the book, I was like, okay, like, and I don't know if it's because I haven't gone anywhere, but I was like, I want to plan a vacation to go to the island because it sounded so cool.
Yeah.
As soon as I was done researching and writing it, I'm like, I want to go to Mackinac. And this was like, you know, like 2016 that I was writing it. And I want to go to this weekend because I think that would be cool because I really do love the movie. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, I mean, authors now with the internet have such a treasure trove of things to grab onto for research because I went to the island as a kid, but I mean, that was 40 years ago. And I remember the fudge, and I remember the carriages, and I remember the architecture, and that's like all that was in my head at that point. But the hotel itself, the Grand Hotel, has a big archive on its website from the weekend.
Oh, cool.
And there were a few other things I could find of people who'd been to the weekend and maybe done blog posts and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then Google Earth, man, I mean, I could literally like figure out like when Miles is giving the tour, like where he might go to do that. So some of that's totally just made up by me, but certain landmarks on the island where things are, Google Earth. And so it helps make that immersive. Mm-hmm. Even for the hotel itself, the hotel site had so many pictures of the hotel and the rooms and the things, and even how I found an article somewhere about how the hotel, the representation of the hotel in the movie, even for things that were shot at the hotel where it's not the same. So I could make some of those,
right,
you know, points, especially around like when Jordan's checking in and stuff.
Well,
it was so fun.
It like told, like I would not have thought, like Susan and I both, we were like, you know, I mean, it felt like you had been there yesterday. I mean, really, like the way you were, I mean, it did. Like I felt like, and like Susan said, I mean, we were really, like, I felt like I was there and, you know, was like, I need to go there now.
I still want to go so bad.
We should all go.
Maybe 2021, we could all meet up on the island.
Yeah, right. Get a carriage and Fudge.
I went to the horseback
Fudge, man, it's so good. I ordered Fudge after I wrote the book too. You can get that Fudge delivered to you, which is really dangerous.
Ooh. Oh wait, no what? Wait, say this again. You can get
Fudge in the book. That store, that's the real store, and they'll ship the Fudge to you.
Oh. Guess what I'm ordering?
When I was first promoting the book, I actually did a couple of giveaways where I sent people the Fudge.
Oh,
they could pick their flavors, and I would have the Fudge shipped to them.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. That's awesome. Well, so this story, so Jordan he goes to this weekend and he meets the very sexy Miles, who is in charge. He has
the stables and I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, you go. Well, this is what we do. This is how Susan and I talk to each other.
Just interrupting.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Yeah, he has the stables and he has a business, and it's so like. At first, it was just so like, oh, they're so like, he's only here for a week, and they're so. Oh,
the connection is just so tangible, I guess. Yeah, it's like Yeah,
it was. They were just so lovely, and then that stinking Drake. Again. Lord, Jeff, please.
You write a good I don't know if I would
Antagonist.
say
Villain?
like, yeah. I mean, him calling, it's enough. And when he showed up, I was just like, I really want someone to. I was hoping he would get punched at some point.
Came close.
No, he did.
Because Miles was one step away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. When he first showed up, I kind of thought, oh no, is this going to be like, is Miles going to think something's still going on? Is he just going to kind of walk away? And I'm really glad that you did it the way you did it and how he nicely, not nicely, but you strongly had him as, it was still nice though. He didn't he still got him a ride and they paid for it, but it was a very nice way to get that man away.
He was. Yeah. And then Susan and I did because we were really we really again had strong feelings about Drake, very strong feelings about Drake. But we really liked, and I will say I was Jordan, I felt like he was a little too nice to Drake. So I felt really good when Alberto really kind of got him where it counted, in the business, Thank goodness.
Looking out for its friend.
I know, Alberto taking care of business.
Because you think that's because business means so much to Drake that's the one spot that's just hurting him at
his core.
Yes.
Yeah. Which was his downfall anyway, right?
Yeah,
because he didn't go on the weekend with Jordan because work, got the stuff to do, can't go with you.
Right.
I love that the way you had the relationship where even though they had broken up, even though Drake wasn't really accepting, they still had to be civil, or Jordan especially, because they do work together and clients and everything. And I'm thinking in real life, that's such a sticky situation that he's almost I felt I empathized, sympathized. I don't know, really just Jordan. I just, yeah. And I was and Miles is so perfect. So.
And I loved how Miles was so he was just so different than Drake, and he was so he was just so comfortable with who he was, and his love for the island and for the people, and just I don't know, he just seemed so he was just so I felt relaxed when I would read Miles, and and when I would read Drake, I was oh.
That's what I like about these two in particular, is that they're so different and yet so alike, because they're both entrepreneurs. They both have their own business. They both want the business to succeed. They both have people counting on them because of that business. And yet it's really two different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because of where they live, what they do, big city versus country, really.
Right. Yeah.
Fancy island, but country, really.
Yeah.
But I like how they respected there was just that mutual respect for each other and for each other's lives and businesses, and it was they just really appreciated and respected what the other did and where they lived. And I mean, it that was something that it wasn't you must give everything up and come with me, and it was very, let's figure this out.
It's a theme. I mean, you could see some of that same thing play out in Keeping Kyle too.
Yeah.
With it, there's something about writing that kind of story that I like figuring out how to bring the two that it shouldn't work for any number of reasons, internal and external, and then figuring out how to bring them together even while they're still nice guys, because I also like nice guys doing nice things without a ton of angst.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Me too. Chantal knows I'm very not anti-conflict, but sort of. I don't know. Middle child.
I don't mind reading it. I have a harder time writing it just because I want everything to be. I don't like my angst to go much when I'm writing much above a Hallmark movie level.
Right. Yeah.
Because you can totally see Drake as the Hallmark ex-boyfriend who shows up to stir up trouble in the last 30 minutes of the movie.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
So how did you, saying that, how did you feel about writing Drake? Because he's real, he's really a jerk. How was that for you, writing him?
he's slimy. I mean, and he doesn't start that way. He just starts as the needy, boyfriend not doing the right thing. But then he also is that guy who wants what he wants, and he doesn't like not getting it.
Right.
Somebody get out the editing tools. And so it was fine to write because I had two other characters who were so nice, and everybody else was really on board, right? Alberto just wanted Jordan to be happy.
Right.
Yes.
And
everybody
Luke,
around Miles wanted him to be happy.
Right.
And if these people weren't going to be happy, then there might be issues.
Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise. But, Drake was the bad guy. I don't always do bad guys. Like Kyle doesn't have a bad guy.
Right.
It's all circumstances. And in this case, I could give the bad guy of Drake, but also with Jordan not being fully transparent with Miles causing another problem.
Right. Yeah.
I have to say, I love when as soon as he heard Miles talking about the problems with the business, as soon as he overheard part of that conversation, just his immediate need to go, like his immediate desire just to go and help and to fix it's what he does. It's what his business is. But I like that he, even when it looked at it as then it was just, okay, I'm only here for a week or whatever it is. But just like, to me, that just showed me who he really is. The fact that he's willing to just spend his hours doing that to help. It just, I don't know. It just made me root for him that much harder. You know what I mean? Like,
and what I liked about it too, Susan, is that it was, he was like, I'm going to help, but it wasn't like, he wasn't pushing. It was like, if you want, like, again, it was that mutual respect and like, I can help you and, but like, if you don't want it, that's cool too. Like, I mean, that's, I love that.
Nice guys being nice.
I know.
I love that though, because this is a book I can easily see myself rereading multiple times over, because especially now, if things are very stressful, or if it's a bad work day or family drama or whatever, I can take this book, and this is like my warm cup of tea that I can reread, and it's because it is the nice guys, and that's what I want. This will be like, I move the paperback so I can put it on my bookshelf kind of a book, like this is like, this would earn its spot on my bookshelf, I guess.
That is so sweet.
I agree totally.
But I know exactly the kind of book that you mean too, because there are those books. I love reading angst sometimes, sometimes not. It's a mood thing, but you've got to have those books too, where it's just like, this is just going to be nice. There needs to be a little conflict. Obviously, you don't have a story, but
right.
I wrap myself up in Hallmark movies all the time because you know what you're going to get. You can count it off by the clock, what's about to happen. And, done well, I love it. Yeah.
And I feel like you did this well because we see that Miles is very proud, and that he wouldn't, if Jordan had said, hey, I'll give you the money to, fix things, that he wouldn't have said yes, because it is a relationship. And, like if you're mixing business with pleasure, like that's a whole thing. So I can see why he was trying to keep it, quiet. But also I like that he struggled with it, because it was just like, and that his friend Alberto is just like, like it was done really well, where I could feel like there was an internal, like, I want to be honest, but I also want to help him. And they're kind of, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And it was that last minute boomerang too of, I've agreed to do this, but you're putting up most of the money?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I just want to say that I don't feel that we can stop. Like, I feel like we must speak about Buttercup and Wildfire, also the horses, because I do feel we need to give them a shout out. I mean, I love that Buttercup is.
Buttercup was a horse I would need to ride, because I've ridden like twice and only for like an hour at a time. And I like that he, Miles specifically gave Buttercup to Jordan, and I love the horses.
Yeah. So I feel like we must have a shout out to Buttercup.
It was hard to decide what to name them. Well, one of them, it was hard to name Buttercup because I wanted something that implied docile, calm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somehow Will and I came up with Buttercup.
That's
We
fabulous.
talking about
Yeah.
it. Wildfire is specifically named after a show that used to be on, I can't remember what iteration it was. It's Freeform now, but it was some previous version of Freeform.
Right.
There's a show called Wildfire about a horse
Oh, okay.
and a horse farm and everything. And it's like, well, and the show had just barely, I think, finished its run as I was doing this book. And I'm like, well, I'm naming one of these horses Wildfire because I love that show so much.
You know what? When I was a kid and I took riding lessons, the horse that they gave every beginner, the horse's name was Coffee Break, and it was
that's good.
So appropriate because Coffee Break really was always on a coffee break. I mean, it was just the most mellow horse. And so when I read Buttercup, I totally thought about Coffee Break. I was
nice.
Yeah.
You should work that into a book somewhere.
Coffee
A horse
break,
named Coffee Break.
Yeah. So, Susan, were you going to say what we made?
Yeah, so I was going to, first I just wanted to say I loved all of the food in the book.
Yes.
Even like when they went to like cooking it at home and then when they went to the restaurant in Chicago. And so, but I went back to the fudge shop for my baking attempt. And I want to say attempt because it's the first time I ever attempted to make, I guess we'll do the review.
Yeah. I
attempted to make fudge.
Ooh.
And I have a recipe book that had easy fudge. So I thought that works. So it mostly worked, even though I got the ingredients sort of messed up. I was texting Chantal yesterday and I'm like, I think I just made pudding. It's not setting at all. I don't know what I did. That's my food option.
Nice.
There are so many different flavors you can make with this, but I stuck with just chocolate, just plain chocolate. And it is so sweet. It is like, to me, this here, because again, I messed up a little bit. It tastes like I'm eating a spoonful of like very, very, very rich like chocolate icing, like frosting. Yeah. So this is like one bite is enough to probably like, give you your sugar rush for the day. But yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Easy fudge recipe. Look on the back of the marshmallow fluff container.
Oh, okay.
That's how my mom usually made fudge, was the super easy recipe on the back of that. And if I remember right, the flavoring would come from whatever kind of like chocolate chip, butterscotch chip, peanut butter chip you would put in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can make an array of flavors based on whatever chips are available in your market.
Ooh, I like that because I was tempted to do a peanut butter twist because my husband really likes peanut butter, but I was kind of like, no, I want the coffee. I was going to say coffee. Chantal knows my feelings.
It goes good with coffee.
So that is also what I did because I took inspiration from can I just say I love the scene with them watching the sunset together, and they
gosh!
And they have the coffee that's tastes like it's infused with fudge. Well, I didn't know how to do that, but I found chocolate infused where you just put a scoop of cocoa powder in with your coffee grounds.
Oh, nice!
So it honestly does taste like I get an aftertaste of brownie with this, just from the cocoa powder. So this is quite nice. I had never thought to do that
Susan's
before.
house.
I know, right? Well, and it's funny because I think I started reading the book before you did, Susan.
You did, yeah.
And I like texted, or I don't know if we were talking or I texted you, but when I read about the chocolate infused coffee or whatever, I'm like, oh, Susan, this is you, the coffee, the chocolate coffee. Wait till you get to it, you'll love it.
We know what you're making already, so. Yeah, it's quite good, but yeah, go ahead.
So I also made fudge because again, I mean, you cannot read this book and not,
you want a piece, you really want to have, yeah, you do.
So, I also am not a baker, and I just want to say that I made the fudge, my daughter did not, I did it all by myself. So my 12-year-old is I don't bake, I'm not a baker. My husband is a baker, my 12-year-old has a food blog and she bakes.
She's amazing. She's
really amazing. And so for a couple of these episodes, she's actually made the food for me. I mean, I cook, but I don't bake. But I called my stepmother who makes fudge, and I made fudge, and my fudge has marshmallows in it. It was marshmallow. So I made her recipe. So I did.
Oh, that looks very fancy. I
my
love it.
Strawberry is falling. So yeah, I have little.
Is that mint?
Mint,
Nice.
yeah, mint from my little container garden.
Oh my goodness,
And,
I love it. Look how pretty that is.
That's
chocolate.
awesome.
Chocolate.
I didn't make anything for the show. I feel bad.
Well, we'll have you on again, and then you can bake something too.
I'd hire my baking out to Will because he is the baker in the family.
Yes, and baking is really like it's a skill, isn't it? Isn't it? I mean, my daughter is, but I'm very proud because I made it by myself. And then I'm pairing mine because I feel like I'm the one who always has the alcohol. I'm pairing mine with a Zinfandel because I felt like it. You know, I felt like the fudge needed a heavier, stronger wine with it. So
yeah,
I mean, not that I have any clue like when it comes to pairing food and wine at all. No idea, but it sounded good. And you know, I mean, it's a nice wine, and because it's really the fudge is really sweet, and so
very nice.
a nice Zinfandel, which I thought was good because I like a Zinfandel when the weather's cooler too, and this book is set when it's cooler, and you know,
October.
So it's felt that was a good pairing.
A perfect pairing.
A perfect pairing. Just like Miles and Jordan. So what are you working on now, Jeff?
Working on a Christmas book.
Are you? Do you want to tell us more?
So I've mentioned Hallmark movies a couple times. And so I've always wanted to do my version of a Hallmark movie.
Okay.
But this one is a little different. It's a Christmas movie that takes place in July.
I like it already.
Because I am doing the story about a movie being shot.
Yes.
Very cool.
Nice.
So, and that way too, I could have a hockey player in it because he's home for summer.
Right.
You're not shooting a movie over Christmas, right? So the hockey player comes home for part of his summer break because he knows this movie is being shot in his town. And he loves Hallmark movies. So he's definitely coming home to watch this happen because his parents are at a bookstore in Main Street. So there's stuff being shot on Main Street. So he wants to be there. One of his favorite actors is in the movie. What he doesn't know is his boyfriend from college is directing it.
Ooh. I like this.
So yeah, you think the actor's going to be like the one he's coming home to see, and maybe you know, no. He finds out after he's there that the guy that essentially kind of broke his heart. They broke each other's hearts in some ways. Is the director, and so all of that kind of starts to. And unfortunately, the guy who's supposed to help with the skating and the hockey scenes can't make it. So of course.
Yeah.
Our hockey player gets involved as a consultant.
Aww.
And there's also a small Save the Bookstore plot because I love those.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
I look forward to reading that.
Yeah. When do you plan to have that out?
Oh, please let it be out by December 1st. I'm still working through the first draft, which I'm behind. I had some issues and I was doing too much angst, to be honest. We've talked about angst. I was having too much angst and I just need to dial that way back. And nice guys being nice.
That's so cool. I love that.
Lean more into that. It's really interesting because I want to lean heavy into Christmas stuff in the plot since it's a Christmas book.
Right.
And so it's interesting trying to lean into that stuff in July.
Yeah.
Even though the whole town's decorated and they're doing all the things they need to do to shoot this Christmas movie, some of which with exterior scenes, as they do these Hallmark movies.
Right.
So hopefully I'll get it done in time to put out. That's the goal, is to have it out, late November, early December for holiday time.
That sounds, I'm so excited. I can't wait to read that. And then what's what's going on with your podcast? What's going on over there?
Big Gay Fiction Podcast will celebrate its 5th anniversary in November.
Yay.
Really?
Wow, congratulations. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, we just rolled past episode 250 back in July, I think.
Wow.
So yeah, coming right up on the big 5-year anniversary, first Monday of November. We've been doing some listener favorite stuff, going back, and we've asked our listeners to tell us who some of their favorite guests were over the 5 years. And so we're going back and pulling elements from some of those interviews and some of the associated book reviews, to kind of, have some greatest hits come out, if you will.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that's fun. And then just figuring out how to keep evolving the show is fun, because 5 years on, I want to keep being fresh. And then our other podcast, the Big Gay Author Podcast, continues to we celebrated the year on that the first part of August.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Gosh.
And we're just trying to keep using it as a vehicle to help educate ourselves, as we keep trying to make this effort towards being full-time authors, the both of us, and continue to document that journey a little bit too. And that show has recently moved from Saturdays to Wednesdays.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
So since you are both authors, and I know you have co-written one book together, is it more than one, or is it one? It's one, right?
It's just one.
Do you have any plans?
Well, one book and one short story.
Okay. So how do you find that process? Is it harder because it's your significant other, or is it easier? Would you do it again? I mean, if my husband will help me plot, but and he sometimes proofreads for me, which is nice. But
yeah, he definitely proofreads for me. I talk to him about plot all the time. He talks to me about plot.
Yeah.
We did write one book together, The Hockey Player's Heart.
Yeah.
Which came out a few years ago. We love the book. The finished product we like a lot. We learned a lot about how maybe not to collaborate.
Right. Okay.
Just because the way we were doing it was like I was doing the first draft, and then he would, go in and do whatever he wanted to do to it. But he didn't do it until I got to the end, which for Hockey Player's Heart was fine. We were more on the same page in terms of the plot. Whereas the sequel to that book, which has never happened, I first drafted again, but my interpretation of the plot we had outlined was different than his.
Okay, yeah.
And it's one of those cases, where if you're just a few degrees off of the straight line, then you're like way over there.
Right. Yeah.
And that book, it wasn't fixable.
Okay. Yeah.
Will we go back? Maybe. Will we do it again? We don't say no.
Right.
We'll definitely modify the process a little bit more.
If my husband and I would ever write together, well, he's a big horror person, and I am the biggest baby when it comes to that. So I don't know how we'd write together for that. But
trope-wise and everything, we were 100% aligned because we both like nice guys being nice.
Yeah.
So to whip up this second chance romance between a hockey player and a school teacher, yes, that was super easy.
Yeah.
And we both had enough of a vision there that it aligned. But the other book, which was kind of his bad boy friend finding his happy, doing the bad boy was a little weird.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work.
Maybe
totally one day.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. I mean, I am continuing to play in the Hockey Player's Heart universe a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the Christmas book, the guy in there will at one point talk to the guy from Hockey Player's Heart just to kind of
I love that. I do really
integrate a little bit together.
That's so cool. Oh.
And then the other thing I'm working on, my young adult cyber thriller series will reemerge this fall.
Ooh.
Working
and he's a
on
hockey player
those.
too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's a hockey player, computer genius, covert agent.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, and he works for the same agency that his parents work for.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So those 4 books will be out starting again this fall. There's going to be a full audio set alongside of it for the very first time. All 4 books will be in audio.
Wow.
So looking forward to getting that back out into the market. I feel bad for the people who, when I pulled it, they hadn't finished the series yet. They're like, wait, what's happening? Please just sit tight. They'll be back.
That's exciting. My gosh. So like, yeah, you've got a lot going on.
Yeah. It's a little busy. It's fun, but it's busy.
It's like good busy. These are like happy, like I always say, happy problems. When we have happy problems, this is happy busyness.
And I should say too, I'm doing free fiction in my newsletter right now.
Ooh.
Because I've got some short stories that I'm prepping to re-release. And so I'm serializing in my newsletter as I prep the stories to go back out. So if you go to jeffadamswrites.com and hit the newsletter link up in the header, you can sign up for that. And then every Friday you get a chapter of, right now I'm serializing a story called Summer Heat.
Okay.
Which is another story that I wrote specifically for a place that I live. This one's down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And it focuses on a grad student who meets a guy in the midst of a massive heat wave down there.
Oh, wow.
And they connect and have a sweet story. I found out from Will the other day when we were talking about this on the podcast that it's like his favorite story of mine that I've ever done, and I didn't know that before. So,
that's so I know.
But even if you sign up to get into it now, there's links every week to go to the previous chapters so that you can catch up, and then folks will have the opportunity when it's all done to download a free version of the ebook before I put it up on Amazon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
So.
And we'll have like,
Links will be in the show notes.
That's awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much for, I mean, my gosh, you're so busy now. I'm like, I feel bad that we asked him if he could do it.
No, this is fun. And you got to talk about the books too. You talked about one of my favorites that I don't get to talk about it very much.
It was it really was. It was such a fun book. And, and again, if you all haven't read it, if anyone hasn't, you need to go out and get it.
It's so good.
It is. Yeah. And especially, I feel like especially during this time, it was such a great escape. It really is. It really was.
I mean, it has like the supportive friendships. Like that's always huge for me, is that they have, both of them, we didn't want to talk about that, but both of them have Miles has Luke, and just how protective they are with friends, and just and then the ending of the book, just, when they're all back together on the island, I loved everything. So.
Yeah. It was a great book. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for being on here.
Had so much fun talking to you, and I'm gonna go sign up for your newsletter because I'm not signed up.
Me too.
I want to see. I need to read some more. So thank you so much. And next month we are talking with
Scott and Vicky.
Yes, I was like, I blinked on who we were talking with. Yes,
back-to-back months with the Hockey Allies back for big.
Right.
I know, right? It just worked out that way. So funny. So
yeah.
So
that's cool.
We will see you all later. Thank you again for being on with us.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
Bye.